I also want to welcome on this broadcast now Professor Vijayraghavan, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. As I say, a thank you to Dr. V.K. Paul, who's the chairperson of the government's COVID-19 task force. Thank you, Dr. Paul, and welcome, Professor Vijayraghavan. And this is indeed a big day, the first Indian vaccines getting approval. But I have a few questions I want to build on. Between the time that the vaccine leaves, the manufacturing facility reaches the logistics hubs, goes to the end point where the vaccine will be administered, how are you hoping to ensure that there is no contamination? Because these vaccines require cold storage. We know that electricity is patchy in certain parts of our country, especially in rural India. We also know that cold storage in a clinical trial in comparison with the real world is very different. So how do you ensure? It's happened in the US. I mean, there the refrigeration norms are also slightly different, but it's happened in the US where some vaccines couldn't be administered in time, they went waste. So how foolproof do you think this process will be from the manufacturing facilities to the end point? Professor Vijayraghavan.
Thank you very much. The cold chain process rigor is something which has been put in place very well for some time now in our maternal and childhood immunization programs. This program, of course, now is a much larger scale, but that too has been put in place with multiple dry runs. These dry runs involve tests of cold chain reliability, which is automated and then verified by digital mechanisms. So if a vaccine carton or a container or the bulk has altered its temperature for any period of time which is deleterious, we would know immediately.
What happens to those who are outside the plus 50 comorbid category and are hoping to get a vaccine? Is there any thought in government yet about when these vaccines could be sold to those who can afford them and want to purchase them from a chemist in the open market?
We have been extraordinarily patient over the year, and indeed, if you look back, a year is a very short period for vaccine development. A few more months, we would have bulk availability of these vaccines, other vaccines, in a manner where these questions would be moot. So I would counsel a little patience. Those who are comorbid outside this category and who need vaccines, of course, they also will fall into the priority groups and they will get that. But as bulk availability becomes more and more ready, you're going to see more and more ease of these kinds of questions being answered.
Last week I was at the manufacturing facilities of the Serum Institute in Pune, and there I learned that the government has so far ordered 2 crore vaccine doses in the first phase. They are sitting on a manufacturing storage of 5 crore, 50 million doses. And what happens to the remaining? Does the government have the capacity to be able to purchase all that Bharat Biotech, Serum, other companies in India can produce, or will the government be constrained in terms of what it can possibly consume and distribute?
You know, there have been multiple meetings over the past few months in which finance ministry officials were also present, and they have set aside very significant resources to be able to purchase outright. In addition, later on going ahead, there will be multiple instruments available to ensure vaccine supplies to all those who need it are not wanting.